It's Wednesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Uriah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Hello. Hi. How you guys doing?
Excellent morning.
I kind of miss our audience. You know,
Yes,
Wednesday, Mr. Dan has been
Wednesday.
sending me a message saying that, you know, he's missed us and he would like to, he can't wait for us to start. You know, right now we have to, as much as we miss the audience, we have to really take it easy. But yeah, it's good to
We don't even know if anything will get, come back to normal the rest of the year. We don't know. Our fingers are all crossed.
Until we have a vaccine, Abi.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's a vaccine.
Most
Hi,
certainly, we
guys.
won't totally go back to normal. Certain things that we've learned from this COVID will stay with us.
Yeah,
Yes.
certainly.
I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm just worried because in my area, I've not noticed it outside my locality, you know where I'm coming from, that they wear the mask for fashion and they wear it wrongly. So you see people in the streets, a lot of them, crowd, moving. They all have the mask on, but they wear it on their neck. They don't cover their mouth, they don't cover their nose. And I'm wondering, do these people understand they're supposed to cover themselves, protect themselves from contracting this virus? Why are they wearing it on their neck? So I don't know I don't know if we need to start teaching people how to wear the mask properly. It's not just to have it for the sake of having it and hang it on your neck and you're moving.
Somebody sent me a video where they were testing the mask. I wanted to buy you.
Okay.
You take one, try it, take another one, put it back, take another one, try it. Because she's trying to test the one and I'm thinking, what is going on?
Just pick one.
We do need to remind Nigerians that this is about, just even, why are you wearing masks?
Yes.
So when you talk, you don't spread whatever it is, you, just in case you have it. And if somebody's speaking to you, whatever they have,
protected.
you're protected. That's one. Number two, it stops you from touching your face, just in case you touch somewhere, a surface that has the virus, and you want to touch your face. And then if you do that, you can contract it by ingesting it either via your nose or your mouth, your eyes. So you cover those places. That's the idea.
Even
protect
people
yourself.
on the bike. You see the bike man, you see the passenger, and probably another person, all on their neck. And I'm wondering, oh, God.
Missed it. Missed it.
They've missed
Anyways.
it.
Oh, God.
But let me add a joke to that. So I was driving by Yanoba and on a Sunday, and on a tray, basket tray, this woven tray, that where they usually put fish, I saw gloves and mask for sale, displayed like that in the middle of the road, and everybody there.
Hey.
Oh, my Lord.
So I wanted to take a picture, and then the Agro guy started hitting on my car. I was like, if I tell people this thing that I saw, they won't believe it. I wanted to, that day I would have posted the picture. So anytime I'm driving through that place next time, I'm looking for that site to see.
That's wrong, because it's already infected.
Thank you.
No.
How do you even display gloves? So they've taken the gloves out of the box, they spread it on the tray. So you're now to pick and buy.
People
lack
need information.
I'm telling you.
They lack understanding.
I have a lot of reservation about how things are done. I'm still shouting or begging for hand wash per garages. So as I'm passing, I'm looking for hand wash points. These are simple solutions.
I went to Alausa
yesterday,
and before I entered, there was only 2 hand washing basins
per
building. So before you enter, you wash your
Secretariat.
hands. And as you enter, you then give you sanitizer.
Exactly.
Your temperature is checked also. If you have temperature, go back to your car, go to your house.
It's impossible. So let's break it down. The local government chairman can do this, affordable for them, instead of giving whatever palliatives that they're doing. Then the NURT is an organized body that I know
They should be able to
can
set this
afford to do this. Based on how much they generate daily. Imagine that you just wash your hands before you touch any door and go in. If 67 people are going in and they've already washed their hands, it reduces the number of infected hands. Then you sit in the bus, you can then be doing your, but you put your mask and it reduces that spread. If we must relax the lockdown.
We'll continue to talk about it, because obviously a lot of people need ideas. Because if the bank owners did not have that kind of idea to get their banks organized for Monday, let alone other people, the markets, and so the truth is that this week, we might give them time to everybody organize themselves. You need wash hand basins across board, and also sanitizers, and you need ways to check people's temperatures to be sure you don't have a fever. If not, you might actually risk the getting the virus.
We'll be all right.
All right, let's go on a break. It's Wednesday. Today we're talking parents and school fees and the whole works. That's our focus today. So if you're a parent and you're lamenting, please get ready to join the conversation. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the newspapers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, let's start with The Nation. 34 more doctors positive. Nigeria won't rule out local herbs for coronavirus treatment, says Minister. IMF disburses $3.4 billion loan to Nigeria. Reps make a U-turn on infectious disease bill. 265 stranded Nigerians to return today from UAE. NDDC's IMC under probe over 40 billion naira. Okay, let's start with the major headline. Go ahead.
Yes, so doctors, so to speak, are more like at the receiving end of this COVID-19. Like in Kano State, 34 doctors have tested positive to the coronavirus. 1 have died. The NMA chapter in Kano is saying that some of them were people who were working in the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital, while others were in private hospitals. And they are also complaining that they do not have enough PPEs for these medical doctors. On the other hand, the federal government is liaising with the traditional rulers to tell them that, see, we have to work hand in hand to ensure that you talk to your people, because looking at it, we have about 2,500 cases in Nigeria, 1,100 and something is from the north. So you need to get your people together, sensitize them, provide for them so that they will be able to, stay away from contracting this virus.
Okay, let's talk about the 265 stranded Nigerians.
Returning from the UAE. So the spokesperson of the Foreign Ministry has declared that Nigerians will commence evacuation of Nigerians stranded abroad today, starting with the 265 leaving the UAE today with the Emirates Airlines. Okay. And they've also gotten the assistance of the British Airlines to evacuate tomorrow Nigerians in the UK, and then the day after, Nigerians in the US will be evacuated with Ethiopian Airlines. We've taken it on your view, asking that, Nigerians abroad are reaching out to us, asking for ways that they will be brought back home. So they've also gotten hotels where they will be isolated for the prior 14 days. In Abuja, they named the hotels, about 6 of them, and some in Lagos that were not named, where they would be isolated pending when they are free to, exhausted the 14 days.
Somebody reached out to me from the US saying that they're asking them to pay with dollars. They don't have dollars. They have visitors, and they have to pay their airline tickets using dollars. And they're having issues with that. So they're saying that, is it possible for the government to assist them somehow? But I don't know how that's going to happen. But the truth is that many of them want to pay for their airline fees, but they only have the naira denomination. They don't have dollars anymore. They're having that issue. Okay, moving on to the Punch. COVID-19, Lagos battles shortage of reagents. FCT test kits are running out. Oyakilome knocks Christian leaders for supporting church closure. Driver friend and killed businessman and steal 400,000 naira in Ogun State. Lagos bricklayer spent 6 years in prison for phantom robbery. Can writes Bajabia Miller demands infectious disease bill withdrawn. Budget FG slashes oil benchmark further to $20 per barrel. Malami knocked for calling Abacha loot ex-dictator's assets. Okay, which stories are we taking in Punch?
Human interest?
Yes, let's start with the human interest.
Yes, so the Ogun State Police Command have picked up a driver and a friend who they were conveying a businesswoman to buy palm oil. She normally uses this particular driver to the market to purchase her palm oil, about 26 gallons. On her way, they dispossessed her of 400,000 naira, killed her, and dumped her in the bush. So investigations were carried out, and they've been picked up. Investigations are ongoing right now. They are going to likely be arraigned for that murder. It's just a murder.
I find the headline of the Lagos bricklayer held for 6 years interesting. I missed it. But the Oyakilome knocks Christian leaders.
Right.
So the president of the Love World Incorporated, that's the Christ Embassy, Pastor Oyakilome, has attacked other pastors, church leaders, for agreeing to shut down their churches. And he's insisting that they should have asked government for time and then prayed and consulted with their congregation, and they shouldn't have shut down, that this is a deviation that makes them not Christly. And
I am worried.
You need to listen to the...
That's a hot topic.
It is a hot topic. Should we wait? Should we pause?
Let me pause you, because I know you're on the road right now. Let me pause you. But the major headline, it's really, really sad that Lagos State is saying they are battling with reagents, and the people who are actually selling this have turned it to gold. Obviously, they are charging premium for these reagents, and that's a problem, because Lagos State have been able to get at least 3,000 samples across the state, but they're unable to test them because of the issue of the reagents. So we are appealing to these merchants.
Link that story to the waiver for medical supplies. So the president has given waiver for the importation of medical supplies now, so they're no longer paying duties.
Right.
And this is supposed to bring the cost down so that we have more available.
Well, according to the Commissioner for
Information,
Information,
Nigeria,
you've turned it to gold. Now, obviously, they're charging premium. Let's move on to Vanguard. Anxiety in Jigawa as 100 die mysteriously in 10 days. Igbo presidency, go on not lobbying on our behalf, says Ohaneze. Buhari, Jonathan Atiku, others extol late Jahadrua's virtues. COVID-19, we won't be in this mess if there had been restructuring, says Clark Adebanjo Nwodu, others. Presidency may approve local herbs to battle COVID-19, says Health Minister. And how returned $311 million Abacha loot will be spent, says Presidency. Okay, which one are we taking?
The
Major headline, Jigawa. Who has that story?
Okay, I have the story. So, mysteriously, in the past 10 days, and fresh grave sites were shown in the picture in the article where people are being buried. About 100 people have been buried in Jigawa State, unexplained, just like very similar to the Kano story. And they, of course, are saying they will look into the cause of death, but before then, it can't be called COVID. I would like to see them look into it, not have this on closed issue like we have in Kano State. Nobody knows for sure whether it's something else that killed the people in Kano.
Let me link that to what the PTF said about Kano. They're saying that they lack capacity for contact tracing. So if that's happening in Kano, in Jigawa State, it's probably going to be worse. So we're waiting for testing, but you can't just categorically say that these ones died of hypertension, diabetes, and all that. We don't know that.
The symptoms are similar, and we're dealing with a virus, the plague this serious.
I think getting scary.
It's safe to conclude that it's COVID.
Okay, let's check
the health minister.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, so he's saying that they had a conference with the House of Reps, and he was telling them that they are going to more like approve the use of local herbs to treat COVID-19, but it has to be subjected to tests by the Nigerian Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development. One of the reasons they're subjecting it to test is the fact that they want to find out if in the course of, curing the COVID-19 is not going to be affecting the body positively or negatively. So they need to be sure that, so if you know that you have the herbs, you know that you can cure COVID-19, you can come forward, but it must be tested.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. But I think it's a good thing, because the truth is that if I'm waiting for Pfizer, I mean,
we can't be waiting
Germany, UK, US, I think one other country, they are all working on this vaccine. Yes, they're great. They have their own citizens too. So before we get that vaccine, it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that we're looking within.
We have an example.
Which
this Madagascar case where they have no deaths.
We spoke to the NCDC boss yesterday, and he said that we don't know the content of that drink. We just saw the president drinking. So if we can get material, the details
of what
if we can get the remedy of what it is, then we can then test it and be sure it's safe. And though, I mean,
we can also find our own remedy as Nigerians.
They are asking for volunteers to test the vaccine on abroad.
Yes,
and this person has tested the herbs on his people. Why are we...
Give us the content.
Why do we have problem accepting...
We're not saying we're saying tell us what you put inside. What is inside?
We don't want to
test the bottle
and be sure.
The back of the bottle.
Do you know what is going to be inside the vaccine?
No, they'll give you what is inside.
It's what they write now.
Because it's Oyibo people.
No, of course not. Come on, man. Let's move on to dailies. Come on. But COVID-19, more doctors, policemen test positive. Fresh Abacha loot to fund second Niger Bridge, Lagos, Ibadan, and others. Buhari waives import duty. We talked about that already. Senate split over planned probe of NDDC. U.S. shuns fundraising for coronavirus vaccine as world leaders pledge $8 billion. Relief as oil climbs above Nigeria's budget benchmark. Okay, which story are we taking?
The oil benchmark.
Yes, let's go.
Yes, so because of the falling oil prices in the global markets, the federal government has slashed the crude benchmark for 2020 to $20 from $30 per barrel, which was originally $57 per barrel in the appropriation bill. So they are saying, the Minister of Finance is saying that vessels are stranded in international markets. We're waiting for buyers. So every oil and gas project needs to be, suspended for now. Also, debt servicing as well. They are having talks to see how it can be suspended for a while. It's not like we're not paying again. We're just going to shift the schedule.
Right. In addition to that, they said that our budget, our economy is going to contract 3.4%, and also they're going to reduce the amount of barrels we produce per day from 2.1 million to 1.7 million. No way we were trying to target at that time to do 2.1 million, but now
we need to come down.
We have to come down,
but
because we have so many.
The price has gone up in the international market now. It's now $30 per barrel. So with our $20 benchmark,
we're still okay.
We're looking a bit.
I want to take the Abacha loot story. Who has that story?
You take it.
Abacha loots finally $311 million have been returned to the federal government. We've collected the money. It's in our bank account.
Where is it?
It's in a bank account, and the government is saying that it's going to be used for the second Niger Bridge completion. It's going to be used for Mambila project to get electricity to about 10 million Nigerians. Also, I think the Kano, Abuja, Kaduna Express, and a few others. So it's going to be used for mainly infrastructure, and there will be receipts for everything it's being used for, because that's part of the condition.
Because they have a competent hand at it. But they let them not go and pay consultation. What did they pay on the other ones?
Moving on to
totally reduce the money.
Moving on to Nigerian Tribune, very quickly. 6-year-old girl tests positive in Jigawa, Lagos, discharges 60. That's good news from Lagos. FG to further slash, we talked about that. Let's find a story we're not taking. Customer who slumped, was hungry, had no symptoms of COVID-19, says FCMB Bank.
Yeah.
Under pressure, preps to subject infectious disease bill to public hearing. And finally, Senate wants police force decentralized. That's a good story. Okay.
The Senate also suspended the 5G network installation.
Oh, yes, it's there.
Yesterday. Yes, they've called the Minister for Communication to put everything on hold. This motion was moved by Senator representing Anambra, Lilian Ikunife, that, you know, there's so many conspiracy and fears around it, that the 100-meter distance and the radiation, all the other arguments people against it have raised, that this until those issues are cleared, she doesn't think that it should be moved.
We're a highly populated economy.
We are.
So if you're going to be installing these this mast 100 meters from each other, that is a lot of radiation, and people are going to be affected. So what she's saying, that she's not saying stop it. She's saying for now, let's suspend it.
No, but the Senate will resolve that. Suspend it for now until the minister can clarify.
The customer who slumped.
Okay, very quickly.
Yes. So the bank has said that it happened in Onipan, and the bank has come out to say that he actually did not have any signs of COVID-19. He was hungry because by the time they revived him, gave him snacks to eat, he complained to them that he had not eaten since morning. So he just came for a transaction when he slumped. So he's okay. He's fine.
I want to take the Jigawa story because it's pretty in the Daily Trust. Dozens die in Jigawa in 4 days. Residents count 140 bodies.
Jeez.
We recorded 13 deaths in our facility, says the CMD. I think that's the hospital. COVID-19 not responsible, says the council chair. And we're investigating causes. This is really, really sad story. And they actually took a picture of the cemetery where all the bodies were buried.
So, Mio, as long it's safe to say it's
COVID-19.
Until they do autopsy, all of them, they should start to do autopsy first. They should stop giving us lazy verbal autopsy excuses and all that. They should take a simple sample. We have universities, teaching hospitals everywhere, pathology departments everywhere. This is the time to put them to use. Don't come and tell us on the front pages it's unexplained. We can't find closure, and we will keep wondering.
And this death was not happening prior to COVID-19.
The ML director was critically ill.
Presently,
rushed to the hospital.
In Gombe, the isolation center, they were treating them. You see the protest yesterday, the pictures looked bad on TVC News yesterday.
Really sad.
People that are suspected to have COVID protesting in the middle of the road, people that don't know joining them.
Oh,
yeah,
please.
Really, really sad indeed. Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we discuss the issue of private schools and third term online. What are your thoughts? Parents, please call us. Let's hear your views on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So now, despite the government's directive to lock down schools, it is business as usual for some private schools who are actually conducting classes online with their kids. Now, today we'd like to discuss with our parents and also with schools. We're going to bring in a guest a bit later. We'd like to hear parents' views on, do you think it is right for private schools especially to continue online classes and to continue third term? Especially because the government has said, no third term right now, schools shut down until further notice. But private schools who have the capacity, who have the ability are saying, we're going to continue online because we have the capacity to continue third term. Parents are looking at it in a different way. Some are saying, oh, it's a good idea. Others are saying, I don't have that time. I have to work from home. I can't sit down with the children. Others are saying, how much do you charge us for this online, online? Are you going to pay us full school fees? And if you're not, how you do determine what you pay? So I'd like parents to call us. You can call us on 070-806-6814. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read the tweet. We're going to bring in a guest who is, I think, the president of a private school. She's going to help us clarify some issues. But first, I'd like to hear your views on this.
All right. So as an educationist, I was happy that we are not just going to sit down with the children and not have what to do.
Right.
So I was happy that we decided to resort to online learning for schools that can afford to have that. I was also happy because I know that the world out there is not waiting for Nigeria. the world is moving on. If you go outside, their curriculum is ongoing as we speak because they have the modalities to have a proper online learning. And that is where the world is going to. So let's not be deceiving ourselves and lying to ourselves. What I would have expected is the government should find a way to continue for those who have online, and for those who do not have online, find ways that they can release the curriculum to them and get their textbooks so that parents can find ways. When you come back at home at night, hold on. When you come back at home at night, it will not take you more than 30 minutes to look through and help your child. The only children that will likely suffer are those very little ones who you are still probably having to hold their hands. But you see, for my son, who is just 9, I don't look through his work. He's been prepared to know how to handle his work. It's just when he gets confused sometimes that he meets me. For my daughter, she goes online and she does her thing. She has already learned it. They taught her. So they're not stressing me. Okay, so the only stress I see there is likely a bit of, okay, how do I get internet? Like now I had to go out with my internet connection. But there are lessons that are recorded so that anytime mommy comes home, you can access your lessons.
But if we try to be less Nigerian, when I say less Nigerian, not just think about me, myself, and my family. Okay. The fact that there are millions of children that from poor families, low-cost private schools that cannot afford to pay teachers at this time, especially. Now, if those of us in the private schools, that we can afford it, zoom off and say, oh, our kids are fine. What happens to the millions of other children who don't have that? That's one. Number two, I know the governments have actually they've initiated radio classes. Yes. They've worked with stations. So there are a few stations that have given them airtime to have classes. But the truth is that you can't really determine if learning is happening.
How many people?
How many children are actually listening? How do you grade the assignments? How do you ensure that learning is actually occurring? So it's a problem. So although it's a good, it's a good thing to have it, however, can it be a full substitute is a conversation to have. Yes. Can radio classes be a substitute for the lower income? And I'll come to you, Nima.
That's how far government can help you in the Lagos State of Public Schools. So all parents were well informed. If you don't understand English, you will hear it on the Pidgin radio. And I even love the fact that they allow phone calls to come in at the end of sessions on Wazobia. So when they are done, they will call in, you can call in, the child can then ask questions. They can put a question, a child that has the answers can call in. I listen to one of them. And the one on TV, I could sit through one because I use the other cable channel one for my kids.
One solution.
The truth is, they can help us, but we are in difficult times now. And we cannot, Nigerians should stop leaving everything. Government, see, we shout from today to tomorrow. You, at some point, you must admit you are the one doing yourself. So they've put a radio station there. Force your child to sit through. My mom wasn't so literate, but I remember her doing every single thing in her power to see me through primary school.
Thank you.
She did. In fact, my father is Islamic scholar. It's my mom that made sure I went to Arabic school. Okay. So sometimes parents will give excuses because of my status, because it is what you're determined to change in your life that you can change.
I'm not talking about private schools. Private schools, I'm talking about the poor families. Because
we found where we are going.
We found that there are some families that don't even have a radio. Do you know that? In this Lagos state, there are families, it's true. Do you have a radio? It's not your phone that you're carrying out, but do you have a radio? You don't have a radio now. How many of us have radios? We don't.
It's in the car now.
In the olden days, it is one person that used to have TV in the whole community.
And we all go and watch.
We go and watch. No, it's true. I think it's what you want to change.
We cannot do that because we are social distancing.
One minute.
May I say something?
Let her land. I'll come to you.
It is what we are willing to change that will make an effort to change. Yes. If you cannot force yourself to find the means to buy a TV or a small radio now because you need it for your child now find a way to borrow it. But what you're willing to change, you will change. Okay, this effort should not be wasted.
So I hear you. Let me take this call from Biodun and I'll come to you, BC. Good morning, Biodun. Are you there? Mabuli Agba.
Hello.
From my area.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
I'm Biodun calling from Mabuli Agba.
Go ahead, please.
Welcome.
You're live.
First time caller. Thank you very much. My main concern is just keeping this little discussion. The problem is, I don't have any problem with the private school going ahead with the e-taught program, you understand? But there are some children, no matter how you tutor them online, they can never get it.
Yes.
Except they are one-on-one with the person teaching them. So in that case, how are we going to handle that? So that's just my own.
Thank you. So this is a conversation I'm going to have.
So for the online learners, there's they have a time where they have one-on-one interaction with their teachers know what to do. They have been trained to handle this. A lot of training is ongoing for the teachers to be able to handle online learning because it's actually different from one-on-one. Let's not tell ourselves the truth. In the class, not every child that you have one-on-one with understands. So they all have their pace, and those teachers are equipped to handle that. Now, the government has already given us the radio. That's for the public schools now, because you mentioned it. The government has given us the televisions as well for us to have the trainings for the children. What will happen if the schools release the curriculum to the parents, release the textbooks to the parents, and give them how to guide? We normally do that when we have tea parties in school as a classroom teacher. You guide the parents on how to teach. Hold on now. Hold on. This is not a bubble. No, this is not a bubble. Allow me land my point.
Yasikira is selling bully.
Yes.
Yes. Yasikira is selling bully.
Yes.
Our husband is a carpenter.
Yes.
Her daughter has to go to school.
Yes.
Now, this girl is in the house.
Yes.
She now has to get her a radio.
Yes.
Maybe she doesn't have, the phone is that 3,000 naira phone. It doesn't have radio.
Okay.
It doesn't have an online capacity.
All right.
Now, she has to give her a radio. Now, sit down with her and start doing all this.
You are not
possible.
Understand what I'm trying to say.
I'll let you learn. But the point I'm trying to make is that as nice and beautiful as online in the private schools is good, I'm saying simultaneously, look at the private schools going this way. These guys here, we are leaving them behind. The public schools are here. The Yasika's daughter cannot go to primary 3 because she can't.
You are not letting me land the point on why we are not leaving them behind.
Okay, why are you not leaving them behind?
We have the radio for them, for those who can.
How effective is radio?
Okay, no vex. We have the radio for those who can have access to the radio. We have TV for those who can have access to TV. Okay. Now, the teachers can have a meeting with the parents one-on-one to give them their books and guide them on how to do it. If you are a parent and your child is going to school and you cannot invest 30 minutes or 1 hour a day, no matter how you're tired to attend to your child, you're not ready to raise that child.
Yes. Do you know how many
you're not ready to raise that child.
In a day?
It doesn't matter. You know how many children do I have? I have 3. You have 4. You have 2. When I come back, 30 minutes for my children is not too much. They are the ones I'm working for. So it's not the government that will do everything for us.
No doubt.
We need to stand up as parents and know what we want. So release the curriculum to schools.
Okay.
Release it to the parents.
Okay.
Guide them on how, give them examples, give them worksheets. They will do the work at home. And they will move their children. Nice. Don't forget that a lot of parents do homeschooling.
You also know a lot of parents are illiterate. Do you know a lot of people have no clue what 2 + 2 is? Do you understand that? We are living in Africa. We are in this, no, it is that bad. We always assume. And what we are doing here in Lagos, because that's what's happening in other states. Because there are poor families who, because of public school, for the first time their children are going to school, things they never even had the opportunity to do. So the truth is that the conversation I want us to have is that, how are we going to ensure that we close that gap? Eventually, when the government lifts the third term, the lockdown, and say start school. So what would happen? Private school, would you now pause, wait for the politics to catch up, or would you continue ahead of us?
How would it play out? The last one before the first one.
All right.
So in the past, we used to have our curriculum, our school year start from January and end before the Christmas.
Yes.
But now it ends at
September.
The new session starts in September.
Yes.
It was something different, something of an emergency that brought that change in the system. So if we resume today and we resume third term in September, we've changed the order. There's no problem. There's no problem. What we are simply saying, what I see the online classes as, is just like what you call extra moral classes for the children.
Now you are taking me to where I'm going.
Wait, let me finish. I want to go back. I get you. 100%.
Let me pause you for a second. Let me be sure that we're on the same page. The point I'm trying to make is that I have no objection to you doing online. I'm saying call it education, maybe some kind of remote learning, find a thing, but don't call it third term, because third term has not started.
I don't support it.
That is where the issue is. And that's why parents are having problem with the schools.
So the private schools are trying to cover up because they are worried about other countries' calendar that they follow. But we will get there.
Okay, I'll come to you, BC. I'll take Ayodele. Ayodele has been holding for a while. I do apologize. Adele.
Yeah, how are you?
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Well, basically, I want us to look at 2 or 3 issues that you mentioned. One is the learning environment in school. The other one is learning from home, online. And the third one is the cost. Now, in the learning environment, the private institution or private schools can justify the amount that they collect from parents. Vis-a-vis the environment, vis-a-vis the services they give and all that. But when you talk about the online thing, parents are taking up the responsibility of the teachers, of the school, and for the infrastructure. More so, a lot of parents also have to pay for data. They have to give their time to the children. They have to stop whatever they are doing and all of that. Now, you talk of cost. I take, for example, a school like Grange. Grange is giving 15% discount, and for a child in year 5, Grange is charging 454,000 naira. A child
Learning
in year
is
3,
going on.
Grange is charging 365,000.
Learning is
A
going
child
on.
in pre-2, they are charging 243,000.
The parents that are there can pay.
You understand? How do you justify that? And there are so many private schools too. If so many private sector and all of these things are sacrificing because of COVID-19, what are the sacrifices that these private institutions are ready to give?
Right.
The government is doing a lot for public schools.
Right.
You understand? I mean, they are networking with radio stations like spoken. They are networking with TV stations. They are creating apps and all of these things. We must also recognize the fact that a lot of people do not even have uninterrupted access to power supply.
Right.
So all of these capital are falling on the shoulders of the parents.
Thank you so much, sir, for your thoughts on it. Yes,
Yeah, may I quickly say that picking out a school and telling us how much they charge is not fair to the school, because the parents who put their children in those schools can afford it prior to COVID-19.
Yeah,
hold on. With now the lockdown that we have, and schools have decided to go through with either the third term or they have to wait till the whole school resumes, is because we place so much emphasis on paper qualification and examinations. There is nothing wrong if school resumes in September and children move on to the next class. It's not going to stop their destiny. It's not going to stop them from achieving what they're meant to achieve. But because we insist you must write the exam, you must crack your head, you must read, you must pass. So if we're not having one-on-one learning, which we are used to, learning is no longer going on. But learning is going on.
Nobody has said that. Nobody has said that.
People do not believe that learning is going on as much as one-on-one classes. It is not possible.
It's not.
Because there are different skills. People sit here and they study abroad online and they know what they are doing. Let's not feel because this is what we are used to, we cannot accept this change.
There are part of classes that needs group assignments. They do
that online.
So sometimes, you see, that's easy for you to say, but because you're in this nice bubble, private sector bubble.
I'm talking about now.
I am more concerned about the populace, the majority, not the minority.
Let me
go on a break. Okay. And we come back. We're trying to bring in an expert, somebody who is actually the director of a school, a private school, a top private school in this country, in this Lagos state, and to hear their thoughts and what they're having to confront in this online learning and how the issues of costs have been tackled. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So joining us on this conversation to discuss and enlighten us on how the educationist is seeing this is an educationist herself, founder, managing director, Oxbridge Tutoril College, Dr. Olufemi Ogunsanya. Good morning, madam. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good to have you on the show. So obviously, this is a really hot topic. Every parent is talking about it. The issue of, there are a few issues. Number one, the first issue is why does it look like the private sector, the private schools are ongoing with third term, especially when the government had categorically said no more third term, the third term suspended. That's one. Secondly, how are the private schools determining how much they're going to charge if indeed they go ahead with this online teaching? And how are they coming across this, how are they coming about the price that they're charging the parents?
All right, thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for having me on the program.
Yes.
Good morning, ma'am.
I'd like to draw a little bit of context before I go into the issues of the third term and the charge.
Right.
Now, running a school is a calling, and we work as a tripod. We work because we love children, and we work as a tripod. That is the school, the parents, and the children. And the parents are partners in progress. We work together for the benefit of the children to see them flourish and be prepared for their future education, to higher education and graduation and beyond. Now, the Western world, in a way, was probably better prepared than we were. For example, British Airways from about February had a meeting with its staff and anticipated what might happen with the pandemic, and informed the staff they'll have a 30% cut over a period of about 3 months, after which it will be reviewed. Now in Nigeria, we were caught napping. A lot of us were caught napping. In the Western world as well, online teaching, virtual classes. I know a university in America, they don't have physical classes. All they have are online classes, and they're able to grade the students and graduate them. And they charge thousands of naira. So coming back to the pandemic, now it was thrust upon us unexpectedly. It's an act of God. Nobody expected it, or act of devil, whichever way we want to look at it. So it was thrust upon us. But one thing I must commend Nigerians for is that we always rise up to the occasion. And that's exactly what happened with the private schools. Immediately, the pandemic got to Nigeria. In my school, for example, we set up a task force to see how we would monitor what's going on and prepare in advance. So it's not something that was just done whimsically, going online, and therefore the entailing problems that have arisen. So it was thrust upon us, and a lot of schools also in the past had prepared their staff of the private schools, had prepared their staff towards virtual classes, towards preparation for Google Classrooms and stuff like that. So it was thrust upon us, and we rose to the occasion.
Because of time, I know you're trying to set up the context in which we're going to have this conversation, but because of time, I get the point that the private schools obviously are prepared, or somewhat are tried as much as possible to prepare for this period. Our worry, however, Ma, is why do you think learning is ongoing if you do start third term at this time? Or why don't you think it's a good idea to wait for third term to be announced by the government before starting third term? That's where I'd like us to take this conversation to.
Yes, I was coming to that.
Right.
Now, let's get it clear with the announcement by the government.
Right.
The government did say yes or no, third term has not started. But they did say, go on with your online classes. I was at the meeting with the Commissioner for Education.
Right.
It was clearly stated. We can go on with our online classes, especially also as the government had put in place radio and television. They also rose to the occasion very quickly. With the radio and television, teachers phone students, because I've been watching your program. Teachers actually speak to the students after the class, after the online classes, to find out what they've learned and so on and so forth.
It's normal.
So we now had a meeting, and the commissioner did say, go on with your online classes. Communicate with your parents and arrive at a win-win situation.
Right, okay. Let me
Dr. Olufemi, there's a wide gap, a very wide gap between the rich and the poor kids in Nigeria. As a person who loves children, don't you think that this opportunity that the online classes afford to the rich children further widens that gap when we sort of, at the end of the day, think of replacing third term entirely with what we've been achieving for the kids now?
Unfortunately, in any community, in any society, there are the different classifications or categories. This happens everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Yes, there is maybe just two categories in Nigeria, those who can afford and those who cannot afford. Now, with the online classes that are going on with the private schools, we are not calling it third term. It's not third term. But there must never be a learning gap in the life of any children. And that's why we strive to continue with the online classes. And the government realized exactly the same thing. Is why they also put in place the radio and television classes for the students. And I'm even thinking of going on, because they've asked advice, maybe newspapers, various other avenues to reach these children. So there is that issue of the different modes of teaching children now.
Right.
Yeah.
But the UNICEF acceptance and mandatory aspect is that there must not be a learning gap.
Yeah, right. Okay, we get that. Let me go on a quick break, madam. We'll come back to you in a moment. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
To stay with us, we still have the founder, managing director, Oxbridge Tutoril College, Dr. Olufemi Ogunsanya. DPC had a question.
Yeah, Dr. Olufemi, I want to ask. So let's take, for instance, schools do not resume. This pandemic is not over till the end of the year. Now, students who are supposed to be promoted to the next class in September are made to repeat, because by then, by the time we resume, according to the government, so to speak, we'll now start the third term. Forgetting the peculiarities of our nation, where you graduate at a certain age, you're not able to get a job because they say you're supposed to come in at 23 or 21, not remembering that we have strikes, now this pandemic is out. What do you say to that? The long-term effect of not having to start third term now?
The long-term effect will be national. It will apply to all our students. But the plan that we have discussed is that, for example, it says third term starts in September, because I have also been very concerned about the promotional classes.
Yeah.
Because this thing has happened in the third term, unfortunately. And the agreement is that during the first few weeks of September, we'll have the promotional exam. And therefore, we'll be able to promote students. Of course, they'll have revision. They'll spend some time having revision.
Okay.
And then we'll have the promotional exam, because that must take place so that we can still classify the students.
Right.
So once that is done, then students will be promoted to the next class.
Okay.
It's unfortunate, but it's a universal thing.
All right, let me go to the
It's
issue.
global.
Let me go to the issue of costs, because parents have complained to us that different schools are charging all sorts. Somebody wakes up and says 80%, others saying that you have to pay 60%, 50%. How would you advise parents or the educationists at this point to determine how much to charge the parents at this time?
Right, with the issue of fees, like I said, parents and schools are partners in progress. We normally support each other. Even during normal times, we allow flexible payments from parents.
Yeah.
That's the sort of those are the sort of concessions we give. Now, coming back to where we find ourselves at this point in time, we empathize. Things are not the way they should be in any crisis situation. Everybody is frustrated, everybody is agitated. And therefore, the two sides of the coin, the parents and the school. The school must show compassion, of course, to the parents, that we understand that you're not probably working, probably lots of some revenue and so on and so forth.
Salary slashed.
But, sorry?
Salaries of parents have been slashed.
Yes, salaries slashed, etc., etc. And therefore, that's what the Commission for Education meant by win-win conversations with parents. It's first most important that a school calls the parents for a meeting. Let's dialogue. This is where we find ourselves. The school must continue running online. Fees must continue. Salaries must continue to be paid. Because if we don't pay our staff, they'll also be in the jobless market. A parent, we're all parents, we're all in the home, looking after our children as well. We also need to pay fees. And therefore, it's a revolving cycle. And therefore, hold the conversation with your parents and say, okay, if I run boarding, I'll take out the boarding fees, since I'm not offering boarding during this time or during this period, post-Easter. Then look at other things you're not going to offer at this period and take them off the fees. Now, when it comes to online classes or virtual classes, the amount of work that's involved is astronomical.
Yes.
Every school, every parent must look and view the value. They must evaluate the value they're getting from the online classes.
Yeah.
And that's what we mean by the conversations that are necessary. They hold the conversation and they then agree on a win-win situation.
I totally agree with you, Ma. So how do we regulate what eventually gets to the teacher who has to prepare the materials? So I know a very popular school in Amodov, a very big major school, who makes their teachers stay on Zoom to have classes. So they actually set up a classroom in their houses and hold live classes on Zoom. But at the end of the month, they pay the teacher 9,000. How do we regulate what eventually gets to the teacher? Because this is a business for most school owners.
Well, with regards to that, usually from the accountancy perspective, a certain percentage of the income of any business or even of a school should be spent on salaries. And therefore, a school owner must look at that percentage and see how to distribute amongst the members of staff. Because teachers are working very hard. They work hard during the physical presence of the students. They're working doubly hard, looking after data, generator diesel, and therefore schools are also given palliative to teachers at this point in time to cover data, to cover diesel, to see how much schools are supported.
Because of time, I have to rush you a bit. One of the other concerns parents are having is that should this online learning be mandatory? Because they're saying, I can teach my child myself. I don't have to pay the school anything, especially because third term hasn't started. So must I subscribe to what the school is providing? Can I just teach my child the best I can when third term starts? Because do you plan to charge me again when third term officially starts? So I paid you for online. Then third term starts, I'll now be paying another money again for third term. So that's one of the gray areas I'd like you to help us clarify. Yes, we have online classes ongoing now. There's any online or virtual class anywhere in the world you pay for. And that's what we are asking for payment for at this point in time. Third term has not started. And therefore, when third term starts, to be honest, it's a discussion between the board of the school, the parents, and the school itself, to agree on how to fashion that payment. But for the online virtual classes that are ongoing now, it cannot be free, except, of course, for the those in the kindergarten and nursery schools. The older children, there's value. Some schools actually said, let me run it for a week, and then you see the value before you make the payment. And parents agreed that it wasn't just palliatives they were given to them. It wasn't just sending something online, and then the student teachers were physically there, taking the students through. And therefore, they needed to be able to equate the fees that they charge to their own payments from their end, because all the teachers still need to be paid. Right. And the calculation, therefore, would need to be based on that. So it's a lot of calculation, it's a lot of consideration, so that it can be a win-win situation.
Okay. Yes, I know of schools that have already collected the third term fees. They just reduced it a bit, took out some percentages, and they promised that if schools resume, you have to pay the balance. But if schools don't resume on time, then you are okay with the 70% or 60% that you have paid, and online learning is going. But I wanted to ask you, is there any advice you give to low-cost schools and secondary schools and private primary schools that don't have the capacity to go online, on how they can prepare work and send to their students, so that the students, even though they don't have access to the online, they can still have learning ongoing?
That's an amazing question, because I know a few schools where that's going on. Okay. And what those schools have done is that they have tapped in this amazing initiative by the government. And they're actually using the radio and the television with their students. And they're then taking up the students after the classes and catching up with whatever they have covered to explain things to them. So learning is going on, even in the low-cost schools at this point in time.
I worry about that assumption, ma'am. I worry about that assumption, because yes, learning is going on. Some children are tuning in. But how do we measure? How do we know how many children are actually on watching the radio, listening to the radio or watching TV at the time? That's really difficult to determine, don't you think?
No, it isn't, because you take attendance as well.
Yes.
Of the students you meet up with. In my school, for example, all online classes, we take attendance. If a student misses a class, we phone the parents up immediately. I said that the student is not there.
Call register.
Okay, that's the private sector. But for the ones in the public, in the local schools, listening to radio, listening to television, if a teacher, and that's where the competency of the teacher, of somebody who is trained, is very different from the competency of a parent who is not trained to be a teacher. A teacher knows the questions to ask. A teacher knows how to assess the students, and they do assess them on a continuous basis to find out how much they have learned. Because some of them are in SS3, the final classes, and they are going to be taking WAEC. Whenever we resume, and whenever WAEC, SS3 exam, whenever WAEC determines the exam dates, they are going to be taking those exams. So the preparation is ongoing. Okay. Yes, like a parent said, or one of the people on your panel at the TV station said, even during physical classes, there are those students who will lag behind.
Okay, I have to let me throw in one final question for you. Yes, go ahead.
All right, ma. So I want to ask, because I know that there are some schools, let's take for instance the West, where you don't really do the paper assessments. From your contributions in class, a teacher can tell if you are equipped, so you're okay to move on to the next class. Must we insist that you must be assessed before you move into the next class, considering what is happening now? Can't schools just resume and the students who are supposed to move to the next class just go to the next class? What will happen? Yes. What will happen?
Unfortunately, we all operate under an umbrella at a national level of testing and certification.
Yeah.
So private schools are not pulling themselves away from that and say we won't do the test, we won't do the promotional exam. That is still what operates in our own ecosystem in Nigeria.
Okay.
There is no running away from it.
We can't
Thank you so much, ma'am.
The good thing that we do, for example, is we assess the students' participation with the virtual classes.
Okay.
And it forms 10% of the final grades that will be given to the students at the end of the program. So, you know, you can assess the students that way. If the student does well with the virtual classes through participation, through attendance, it will boost their marks at the end of the day, the final grades.
Thank you so much, Ma, for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ma.
Fantastic conversation. We're going to have to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll take some calls and tweets, get here from parents and their views on what's been said so far. We've been speaking with the founder, managing director, Oxbridge Tutoril College, Dr. Olufemi Ogunsanya. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we spoke with the proprietor of a private school in Lagos State, and she's been able to share with us the views of many proprietors in the state. I know that the Chairman House Committee on Education called in. He wanted to make a few comments. I'll see if we can connect with him. But in the meantime, I'd like to take a few tweets.
Let's take some. Yes. I'd like to respond to this one. DEQEO, I don't know what it means, said, replying to me on that, yes, there are TV and radio, but you see, there are poor parents who can't even speak English or understand academics, who have kids in public schools or even local private schools in their streets. Think of the person you buy tomato and pepper from in the market. When that is all they know. I totally disagree, because I'm from a very humble background, and I say it all the time. I remember back then, it was my mom who took me to primary school, Our Lady of Lourdes then. And she kept saying to me, because I did not go to school, all my children must go to school. I have 4 girls. All of you must be educated. And I keep wondering, through primary school till I finished, I can remember my mom sitting through all my homeworks and insisting, I did not go to school. It is what you're determined to change. I insist on it. Yeah. If you give some parents the tablet, in Osun State, some people were giving tablets. They were giving up more. What did they do with it?
Nothing.
Because they're not willing to educate their children. There's something called parenting. There's something called lazy parenting.
How do we fix the problem now? That's a different issue, though. That's we've discovered this gap that, you know, this period is going to cost us in our education, and government has done what they can to fill it up. Private schools have done what they can. I have Mr. Yinka Ogudim. He's the chairman House Committee on Education, Lagos State. He called in to contribute to the show. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good to have you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, well, I've been listening to your program, especially on this education issue.
Right.
During this holiday period with the students at home.
Exactly.
And the system of online e-learning.
Right.
I just want us to really get some things straight. Right, in our comparative analysis, you know, there is no way we can actually be comparing ourselves in this part of the world, you know, with what happens in the Western world, education-wise. So even when you look at the education system we are following, you know, we're just trying to do our best to be there. We are yet to be there, right? You come to the issue of this e-learning and some other things. I have one of your contributors that made a very vital point. You know, you first have to realize certain things. Number one, the enabling environment. The enabling environment is key to learning, anyhow you look at it, whether direct learning or e-learning or anything. But look at it this way, right? The government or the private school, they are doing their possible best to get the pupils and the students online to learn, right? There are a lot of factors militating against it. You know, one of it has been mentioned, which is the electricity supply. One of it is the needed equipment that needs to be in place for the children to learn all these things. And when you're picking out Lagos, Lagos is peculiar, you know, compared to other states. And even in the whole of Lagos, we cannot get everything right. And you still zero down between the public school and the private school. When you look at the two, you know, let me even pick the private schools. The private schools are not at the same pedestal.
Yes.
There are some high-profile ones that have been using computer from day one.
Right.
But there are some that have not been used to it, and you want them to learn.
So how do we cover these gaps, sir?
We can't. So.
Yes, that is the issue of time. No, the Code Lagos, the computer interactive section has started in Lagos, where we have started to be trying to train the teacher themselves on how to be at the best on all this equipment. Right. You know, before you can now impart the same knowledge to the students. You know, these are times when some of these teachers in their school days, they were not even used to computer.
Exactly.
So, and same thing happens in your profession as journalist. No, you are forced to make use of it now, and everybody go running up and down to make sure you comply with the standard. And the same thing is happening now, and we have to really have a waiting time.
All right. Let me
say. So what I'm saying is COVID-19 is exposing all of our failures as a system. We've always said that we're supposed to have like 26% go to education in our budget, and we're seeing the results of not having that. Now, people whose kids can afford to go to certain schools will now have to pay for the failures of government. Let's not assume that everybody cannot have access. We also have to protect the interests of those who can have access to it because they did not commit a crime. It's just how God has made them and where they
the minority over the majority.
It's not over the majority. I am saying how we can work together to say that even when we resume, that school continues following the calendar so that it does not affect anybody. Is there any way we can do it?
Yes, I get you, and I want us to not hold some things constant here. And the essence of education is for you to be taken from unknown to the known. And for transformation in the life of the pupil or the student we are imparting to. It's not about certificate. And if we are able to really distract our minds away from issue of certificate, then we will get it right. Right? We are looking at how brilliant your children are, your child is, and you are not really looking at what have they been able to give, what have they been able to acquire from education. All what we are talking about is a function of many problems. Right. I have a problem personally that I've been preaching for some time, right? That, you know, the best way to get a child to understand is to really understand the language you are using to teach that children.
Very important too.
So, you know, it's not compulsory. We have to really go by English, you know, way of imparting. I don't really believe in it. They said there are no enough materials. I agree with them. Right. Roads are not built in a day. Let us now be able if you can speak your language very well, and you take it to another language, you will perform better. Right. So, and you take a comparative advantage, what happens in Germany, what happens in China, what happens in other countries that are using their languages, they are better off.
Unfortunately, I have to wrap you up at this time. I'm so sorry. I do, but I think we've gotten the point of what you're trying to communicate to us. Because I'd like to get a few more tweets and parents to call in to share their thoughts on this before we round up. Any more tweets, BC?
Yes, Mr. Adebayo says, here in the UK, some schools are in session via online, while others are not. Children will be promoted to the next class if it stays like this, and secondary school students will be rated on their average performance at school. If you're unhappy with your results, then you can sit for the exam later. See, I'm driving a solution here so that we don't leave people pending because of the lapses of the government. government. You don't blame those children that were born into rich homes because the government has failed. You have to find a way to sit up to your responsibility. The government is seeing now that we have failed children in education. The people in the government, their children don't school.
But there's something
hold on. The children don't school in all of this. You see these problems we're talking about today? Their children are okay. Their children are having online classes as we speak. They are the leaders. So the people that are left to suffer are the poor masses, and we need to find a way not to delay them further. When somebody who has when a politician, so to speak, no, I want to learn something. A politician's child finishes, you can always call somebody and give him a job, give her a job there. You see these poor masses that we're fighting for today, they don't have anybody to call. So if you delay them further and they come out at the age of 26, when they're supposed to come out at 23, they will not see jobs.
Okay.
Let's look at it like that.
There's also something called social balance. There's something called scaling them up. It's also very important that as those rich kids are privileged to have been born to rich families, that they are somehow dragging these people up. Because you see, we are getting to a point where when that revolution happened, those rich kids, they'll be finding ways, even to go outside go difficult. Because when these poor masses that are larger in number get hungry, you tell me how safe you'll be in your home.
So let me take Ekaite, are you there? From Worry, Ekaite, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Okay, my name is Ekaite,
Yes.
like you said. I want to appreciate what Mariah is trying to say here. I think nobody is addressing this. What she's trying to ask is those children that are in those remote areas where parents cannot afford radio, TV, and the rest of them, how are they going to be able to cope with this e-learning and the rest of them? So my suggestion to this is that if we can have those young who work in private schools, organize lessons of just 10 to 15 students or pupils, in their specific subject. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the month, these parents can just give like 500 or so, 1,000 for you to pay off as your lesson fee, like an organized lesson.
Yes.
That's
a solution.
They come with their chairs, they sit down, and then they get this education. I think it will go a long way to help those people.
Thank you so much, Ekaite.
That's a solution.
That's a good idea. Thank you so much.
So there's this tweet, Isaiah Ojebisi says, how many parents can afford to buy data for their children, especially now that the inflow of cash has dropped? Also, how many parents will make sure that their children follow the radio or TV for studies? Some parents don't care, and electricity is another wahala. So electricity can be dealt with batteries if you're using radios. But if a parent is not available for their child, no blame teacher, because you are the first teacher of that child.
Yes.
You are the one who knows the school that is
have changed
valued.
from your time to this time has changed. Right now, parents now, some families have to leave very early in the morning.
You are telling me my story.
I'm telling you my story. I'm telling you that
I used to leave my kids 5:30, 6 a.m. daily. And I still find a way to meet up.
When I get home.
In fact, there was a time my child would tell the dad, my first child would tell the father, until my mother comes, don't touch my homework.
Yes, when I get home.
You can't tell me my story. I know what my priorities are. And if you don't know
my
what your priorities are,
my own story is that I have to go and find laptop now. I give them my own laptop. I have to give them. But I can't because I'm also working. I'm also in school. Remember, I'm also in school. So I have to do my own work. So I have to go and now find money to buy a laptop. Data 5,000 naira 1 week don't finish.
Mariah, share the time.
So the point is that it's costing me more money. During the day, I don't turn on my generator during the day because hey, I save it. But now I gotta turn it on because the kids gotta use the laptop.
We're all adjusting.
So listen,
so we can address those issues. Thank you, my own disco, for giving us.
Aki, are you there? The final call this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thanks for calling, Jerry. Go ahead.
How is everything?
Very well. Go ahead. Join the conversation.
Yes, my name is Aki Agumbiari today. I'm calling from Abuja.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I really thank you, ladies, for this conversation. This is very, very good. I was born in the 80s. Definitely, I have 6 kids, and we are all doing fine. So, but really, the real fact of it is that, well, Mariah, you can remember those days. Well, University of Ilorin, you can remember those days that they will be far away from the other universities, the federal universities of Nigeria. But I got to discover one thing, that at the end of everything, University of Ilorin is out ahead of every one of us.
No.
But the most important thing is that if your children are in the public school, let them be in public school. They should just have it at the back of their mind that as of now, they are on strike. Let the private schools, that they have the money. I'm not saying I'm rich, but let the private school that prove that they have their own money, let them take care of their children. Now, whether we like it or not, the future is going to be good for every one of us.
Yes, your destiny.
Last.
Last.
Yes. Yeah, at the end of everything, the destiny is going to, determine what everybody is going to become.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter, that we should all have it at the back of our mind that we have a common fight.
Yes, it's a common battle.
All right. Thank you so much, Akin.
We should fight for it. God bless
Thank you very much, Akin.
God bless you.
Final tweet for
Let me take this last tweet, and it's a solution also. Adewumi Sarah says, please tell the school owners to make videos and sell so that parents and students can go over it as much as possible. That one is also possible, but they will say we should go and buy the DVD player. So
you don't have DVD player. You want government to buy everything for you.
It is also possible.
If they work in this state,
I know.
These are fine Lagos that looks like London. Trust me, they are poorest of the poor in this state that cannot afford it.
The slum in my area, they have when they are doing this match, when they used to do those match, they will have their TV where all their fathers can gather.
We cannot gather. It is not distancing.
Who is in that place? Who is observing
social distancing?
I'm not observing any social distancing there.
That's all we can say. Thank you so much. So it's still an ongoing conversation. I know they're going to come for you today. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.